You're listening to Keith Engle, the host of TGI Sports Talk on the National Streaming Sports Roku channel.
Oh, good afternoon, everybody. Quick ending to the music there. Keith Engle here for TGI Sports Talk's MLB update. How's everybody doing today? Been an eventful week here. Fill you in a second. Want to welcome everybody watching today on TGI Sports Talk's Facebook page, our YouTube page. Catch us later on Twitter. We're live right now on Roku, the National Streaming Sports Roku channel. Make sure you get that. Get your Roku apps, your Roku TVs. Look to download that National Streaming Sports Roku channel. It's free. Lots of great content. And I actually posted an ad. We've got some how-tos to kind of do that as well, which we'll get into. I haven't got them downloaded onto the my soundboard yet, but we'll play them from time to time to help you guys get there. Now, and it's a great place to watch a game on a big screen, or watch the game, watch my game on a big screen. You can't comment there, though, so you need to follow along on Facebook or YouTube to be able to do that. Quick shout-out to Ralph Williams at RW Media. Especially Ralph does some great stuff, especially the Sports Corner every Tuesday from 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern time with Smoking Jim Frazier. Good stuff. Ralph does a lot of great content. And we want to thank our groups, some of our groups, and the ones we've been singling out recently, and we'll single out some more, especially once Facebook lets me share groups again. So our viewership might be down a little bit this week because Facebook in their infinite wisdom says I'm abusing my powers or whatever. So the groups that like the content we share in this show and have been able to see it, start following TGI Sports Talk or complain to Facebook. Anyway, those groups, by the way, we want to give a shout out to the Bottom Line Sports, the Bottom Line Sports. Is it? I got to make sure I got that right now. With Flo and a gang, you know who I mean. America's Pastime with Greg Rollins. Greg does some great stuff, giveaways. Has his own podcast as well, at least one night a week. And then we got the Sports Authorities, of course, with John Gonzalez, one of the best groups out there. John comes in, participates. Flo participates. Cam has participated with us from the Bottom Line Sports as well. But John has been a consistent contributor to the show. And a great backer of the show throughout. And quick thanks to my guest this morning on 101 with Keith Engle, Larry Sorensen, a good friend of the show. We did a one-on-one interview with him probably 4 years ago. And Larry's also been a guest on the College Football Huddle from time to time. And you'll see him here in 2 weeks. 2 weeks, not this week, the next following week. We didn't get into any college football talk today because we talked a lot. We talked about his career, but not quite as in depth because we'd done that with him before. And we went into it a bit because we do have some new viewers who hadn't seen him before. Maybe know who Larry was. Larry was a very good pitcher in his day. He'd been through his own travails, and we talked a little bit about that. And we talked about the game today and what we like and what we don't like. And Larry is a very big backer and very heavily involved in something called Pitch Logic, which is a tool for young pitchers, pitchers at the major league level. It's for everybody. I'm not big in analytics, but if this is something that can help pitchers maximize their release and all that, their form, their release and everything to make, again, be less stress-free and allow you to pitch more innings, I'm all for it. But we're going to get into that as well because MLB, I want more innings pitched by starting pitchers. I don't want MLB to mandate everybody's got to pitch 6 innings. Every week I come here, I swear to God, MLB is doing something to mess this game up. This is not the way to go about what I want. Not that I think it's being done for me. Who's with us right now real quick? Danny Fuller's with us out in L.A. Good to have you with us, Danny. Wore your Dodger colors for you today because I know you hadn't seen them in probably a couple of weeks. So I thought I'd give you that. Shout out to Chris F. Gray for sharing website information. How can I best get you this information? Danny, and I don't think you're doing this yet. You may have gone to, I know you're coming in. I think you're coming in from TGI Sports Talk's Facebook page today. If you're on my personal page, that's fine too. But if you go to TGI Sports Talk and click that follow button, you should get the reminders to pop up. Because I don't think you or Chris, just to be clear, you guys have done by the way, I've loved every bit of what you guys have had to share as you've been following the shows. You probably liked it, but you're not following it. And I think if you don't follow, you won't get those reminders. I'm not sure. But you would also help my numbers as well as we push towards that 3,000 follower mark. So thank you. And thank you guys for your support. It's been greatly, you guys have infused a lot of energy into the show that I like. And I love our interactions a lot. Thanks for asking how players get paid. Oh, did I? I don't know. It just popped into my head. And I was thinking about back when he was playing, Chris, actually, when I asked the question, because, now pretty much everybody gets paid every 2 weeks, right? There's no weekly, again, not for everybody, but I would say 95% of the world gets paid on a every 2 week or biweekly pay period. Two different things, by the way. I'm sure some people still get a weekly paycheck, but I doubt there's that many. But it was interesting to hear that. And Larry's a great contributor. We got into a lot of stuff about MLB today. Watch the interview. Groups, my wonderful groups out there. I'll be sharing it this weekend as soon as I'm trying to get this lighting. I can't get this lighting where I want it lately. My face is all blotchy. What if we do it like that? That's a little, I don't know how that looks. I don't know. I'm not going to look good no matter what I do. What was I going to say? As soon as I can share to the groups again, you guys will get this interview and some of the past content I haven't been able to show. I don't think I've been able to share since Sunday. Facebook is just wonderful, isn't it? If I knew how to manipulate YouTube, I wouldn't even be here. But I don't want to desert you guys as well. Well, my wife turned the air on. Isn't that nice? Danny's going to try that. Good. Just give it a try. I think it'll help. And again, Danny, you, by the way, again, I appreciate all my viewers. I think I've talked about this a couple times. But Danny, up at 5 o'clock. Now, I'm up at 5 o'clock, but I'm not, messaging on podcast. Danny's up at 5 a.m., messaging on the Mac and Jack show this morning. Then during the one-on-one interview, we loved it. Rick, good afternoon. I hope you stayed through the interview, Rick, because I didn't bring up the Wilson and Williams question with the Mohawks with Larry until the end, just because we were involved in other stuff where it really didn't fit. But he did address that. So I hope you stuck around. Larry's a great guy, and he'll be on in 2 weeks. Right now, we have penciled him in for 2 weeks from now on the college football huddle. I started to mention we're going to talk about some stuff. We'll talk about Judge 300 home run. There's lots of just speculation about how far can he go. There's an article in the Post today about how he can catch Barry Bonds. He can catch Bobby Bonds. It's not going to happen, guys. He's going to be 33 years old when the season starts next year. We'll talk more about that. I want to talk about this stupid 6-inning rule that MLB wants to implement. I don't think they can do it. I don't think they'll ever get it in. I mean, I know it probably sounds weird. I want pitchers to pitch more. I say that. I don't want it mandated that some guy who's getting hammered in the first inning has got to stay in the game for 6 innings. How stupid. We had a Phillies rookie hit for the cycle yesterday. Ryan Sandberg, great news for Ryan Sandberg. Classy player, great player, cancer-free with the Cubs. Brian Buxton hurt again. Christian Yelich out for the year for the Brewers. Big loss for them. He's played well. Rich Hill signed with Boston. I keep telling you guys, teach your kids to be left-handed and throw a baseball. They can pitch forever. They don't have to be any good. And I can't read that one at all. Who's hot? What's going on? Hey, we got races. Here's the thing. Another quick topic we can jump into. Anything you guys want to chat about is good with me, but we'll get into the standings a little bit. But we got races right now in the American League East, the American League Central, the AL West, the NL West. Pretty much all have pretty good races. Is anybody going to care to win? Yes, the wild cards are a bit constricting because you got to travel on the road and play 3 games. At least 2 of those teams do. But does anybody really care about winning a division anymore? We're going to find out. I think they should if they don't. And the wild card races are just kind of crazy. I mean, in the American League, you got 5 teams within 3.5 games of a wild card bid. You got 7 teams within 7.5. If you want to go all the way down to my dark horse Tigers, 7.5 is a lot to make up. It's 40 games left, guys. That's it. 40. I wake up on my birthday, which, by the way, Mother Nature gave me a hailstorm yesterday on my way to dinner. And 64 years it took. My car parked outside most of my life until the last 10 years. Never had hail damage. Now it looks like I drove through a driving range yesterday. Thank you, Mother Nature. Getting like the stream of consciousness in here. In the National League, by the way, there are 6 teams within 4 games and 7 teams within 5.5. The Indians, who after a little bit of a swoon, 5 straight, 4-game lead now. Tigers have won 4 straight. Still 7.5 back in a wild card. The Astros, 3-game lead now, 8 straight wins. The Diamondbacks, 6 straight wins, 9-1 in the last 10. The Padres, 3 straight, 9-1 in the last 10. Both teams 2 games behind the Dodgers. Danny, what's going on out west there? The Reds have won 4 straight, trying to get back in this. They're 4 games behind the wild card right now. Who's on here? That's the Astros. I can't read that one. Oh, I guess it's just the Brewers who had 9-game lead now. Brewers were a 9-game lead. Who's not hot? Well, the White Sox are never hot. 2-8 in their last 10. Grady Sizemore, I hope you're getting paid a lot. Their run rate right now is 144 losses. Sorry, that's not right. 38. 124 losses, which would blow away the record. When you lose that many games, beating it by 4 games would be blowing it out of the water. The NL East is all kind of floundering at the moment. Everybody's hovered around 5-5, 4-6 in their last 10. The Pirates, as soon as I give them a little props last week, they lose 10 straight. Major League Baseball at its best. What do you got here, Rick? When I went on salary in 1984, it was monthly. Monthly is hard to manage. That's a little rough, right? Especially when you're young. I mean, you're still a young guy then. As we get older, hopefully we're not living paycheck to paycheck. But monthly is really rough, especially when you're a young guy. Stars for a star. Danny, you are amazing, and thank you so much. Don't ever think it's not appreciated, because it is. Amazing that Larry pitched 8 complete games in a row. 8 complete games. Right? We talked about the fact that Danny brought it up earlier. 69 complete games in his career. We want every pitcher combined in the major leagues today. They're not going to complete 69 games in their career. Probably. Oh, my God. He brought up, and it's an amazing stat. Maybe I brought it up when Drew was talking about this. And I see you here, Drew. I'll get to your comment in a second. Good afternoon. JB, I see you here. We talked about Blake Snell's no-hitter. And Larry went there when we were talking about pitching and how we pitched today and too much nibbling and everything else. And he talked about his first strike percentage during that game. Again, I still think one of the most amazing stats, and it's so indicative of how the game is played today. And again, I'm not looking for Major League Baseball to implement a 6-inning minimum. for starting pitchers. That's just a stupid way to go about the rule. Again, it needs to be ingrained in the culture. This is a systematic thing. This is the way it needs to change. You don't put a rule in that says you have to pick six innings. Excuse me. I get all excited and I spit all over myself. But one of the most numbers that's indicative of how the game has changed. Before that game, that Blake Snell pitched a no-hitter 2 weeks ago or 10 days ago, whatever it was, he'd gotten a total of 5 outs. He's been in the major leagues 9 years, I believe. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. 9 years. Before that no-hitter, he'd gotten a total of 5 outs from the 7th thing on. Really? You've got to be kidding me. Just so cool. Oh my God. Rich Hill, amazing. His 8th time signing with her. Is that true, by the way? Is that an accurate number? 8 times just with the Red Sox? He's played for nearly every organization in baseball, I feel like. He's 41, I think 41 or 42 years old. He's had about 1 or 2 good years in his entire career. Again, teach your kids he pitched with the Dodgers, I know. Teach your kid to be left-handed. They can pitch forever. Somebody will sign you. I got to look up Rich Hill now. Yeah, I'm sorry, Rich Hill fans. I don't mean to denigrate Rich Hill. I really don't. I'm just talking about, 6'5". He's a big guy. He's been pitching since 2005, 18 years. He's pitched with 1. You're right. Oh, well, I don't know about 8 times he's signed. He's played 8 seasons. Wow. 1. There's 1. There's 2. There's 3. I see 4. Again, I don't know. Some of these seasons where he played consecutively with the Red Sox, he could have been a free agent during them, I suppose. But he's played with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 different teams. That's half the league almost. Oh, my God. I can't do math. It might as well be half the league to me. Dodgers not playing. No, I didn't. Yeah, I certainly wasn't saying Dodgers were playing a little sloppy, if you will. The D-backs and Padres, and good. Thank you for bringing the Giants up. The Giants were my dark horse here, and they've gotten back into the race. 5.5, I think, out of the wild card. Doubtful they're going to have a chance to win this division. D-backs are the team I'd watch out for. And the Dodgers aren't playing awful. Dodgers, and again, tons of injuries. I know we've talked about, Dave Roberts having pressure on him. Jesus, for him to win 100 games, I know you want to win, and so do I. As a Yankee fan, nobody's more spoiled than me, right, Danny? You want to win playoff series and World Series. I get it, but did anybody really do a better managing job than Dave Roberts last year with all the injuries? And this year, again, I don't know. Dodger fans are left wanting. Reds left based on league mediocrity. Good point, Drew. The Reds, though, are right back in it. 4 out of the wild card, I believe. You just get hot for a week, you get right back in it. Every week somebody new is falling in or falling out and somebody's getting in. The Pirates look like, and I just said last week, maybe it's a different Pirate team. Wrong. Their collapse just was later. 40 games left, guys. Making up 5.5 or what I say, 7.5. I kind of push the American League too, just so I get the Tigers, my dark horse pick in the American League. In there. That's very hard to make up 7.5 games with all the teams in front of you. You can do it. If you're just chasing down one team, it's certainly doable. But when you've got, 6 teams, 7 teams to pass, very tough. JB, from the Back It Up Binge podcast. Check him out. Monthly pays the best. Loved it when I worked for Eero companies. Again, I think it depends on where you are in life, right? I mean, if you're established and you're doing well and you're not living paycheck to paycheck, well, then it's fine. I mean, you're a Major League Baseball player or somebody who, making $1 million a year. You could probably get paid once a year if you manage your money right. But I can see where it would be tough for some people. I remember when I thought 2 weeks was a norm, we absorbed a company, back in 2005 probably. And I had some salespeople that came to work under me in different parts of the country. They weren't local. But one of them had a fit that, he wasn't going to get paid every week. He's like, this is ridiculous. This is out of the norm. And I'm like, no, getting paid weekly is out of the norm today. Got to be able to manage yourself better than I need money every week. Junior Jays versus the Cubs today. Cool Wrigley Field experience for the young players. Wrigley's a cool place to go watch a game. Drew might have commented on that in the sports authorities at one point recently. But I love Wrigley. One of the best places to play as far as I'm concerned. We got that game going on right now, do we? 2-0 Cubs over the young Jays. I don't know how young are the Jays, though. I don't really know who's playing. By the way, they've won a few in a row, but this team's going nowhere. Cubs in some sort of race, but that's more about who loses. The Cubs can't seem to make up any ground. And listen, I've always liked Craig Counsell, but I wasn't happy the way this all went down. He left the Brewers under the auspice he didn't want to keep managing, and then when he was offered the highest manager's salary of all time, he suddenly wanted to manage again. And by the way, he was negotiating with other teams besides the Cubs because the Mets were after him. Why is the mark for starting pitchers 100 pitches, not 110? I talked about this. Let's go for 7 innings pitched. Webb for San Francisco goes 7+ in the MLB network is lighting fireworks. It is ridiculous. First of all, again, I want more innings pitched. I don't want Major League Baseball telling you have to have a maximum. That's not the way you go about it. I mean, you have to change the entire culture. It's a systemic thing, right? I mean, it's got to start at the lowest levels of minor league baseball so that it happens coming up. And I talked about this, we talk about there's arbitrary numbers, 90 pitches, 100 pitches, 110. And it's not just a number, JB. I talked about this with Larry Sorsen just to make sure I wasn't crazy. 110 pitches today is not the same 100 pitches a guy might throw tomorrow as far as effort and taxing your arm. There's easy 100 pitches and there's a difficult 100 pitches. There's a difficult 20 pitches. So it's just ridiculous. And I'm not going to stop harping about this. You guys might get tired of hearing me talk about pitchers and the way this game is played. But, until things change, I'm not going to stop harping on it. Bad enough. It's bad enough, some of the bad baseball and the fundamental nonsense of the way the game is played. Then you're going to take... already you put a rule in where a relief pitcher has got to pitch to 3 batters. Ridiculous. In the name of speeding up the game, absolutely ridiculous. Okay, you tie a manager's hands behind his back. It's stupid. I don't have a better word. Sorry. And now they want to put in a rule. You got to pick 6 inches. 6 inches. Just turned this into a whole different type of show. I'm sorry. You've got to pitch 6 innings. Oh my God, man! I gotta compose yourself, Keith, because you'll keep saying it. Yeah. So anytime you get excited, somebody goes 7 innings, right? They set off fireworks like this guy. Go send him to the Hall of Fame. He pitched 7 innings. God bless him. Larry talked today that, oh my God, that he's heard rumblings of talk of changing the criteria for getting a win? To what? 3 innings? Nothing against you, Larry. Again, this is about the idea coming up in the first place. Gosh, what are you thinking about? How about we just go back to teach the game the way it used to be played? 13 teams, I miscounted. Sorry. Thank you, Danny. I had 12. But again, I got that, birth education. Only advantage of watching teams tank is having them bring up their high-level prospects to see whether they're worth trading or not. You only got a few teams tanking, really. That's a great point, too. So you bring up your high-level prospects to see whether they're worth trading instead of developing them, Marlins and A's fans. By the way, speaking of the A's, where's this story? Vegas is rounding third in the A's stadium approval. Why were the A's, again, they could play in Sacramento until I'm dead and gone. Well, that could be sooner than later, I suppose. But why would you move without already having an approval on a stadium? And it looks to me like the state and the city are picking up 100% of this tab. I take that back. The A's have said they expected to spend $350 million in public money rather than the full $380 million allocated by the Nevada legislature. So the rest of the money is coming from public funding, apparently. Private funding. So at least that's good news. But when are they going to go there? They're going to play in this, beautiful 8,000 seat stadium in Sacramento for 10 years. Gunnar, 2 home runs in 2 games. Gunner's one of my favorite players. I love his name, number one. It sounds like a baseball player, doesn't it? Gunnar Henderson. Excellent name. I would say that the home run derby does affect swings. I can only think of a couple examples. I think David Wright went into a big slump one year after participating. Bobby Abreu, I know after winning the home run derby a few years ago, had a horrendous remainder of the season. So yes, I gotta believe that's not you're not up there. It's not your normal course of action. You're not taking your normal swing. Some guys are, I suppose. And some guys aren't affected at all. But there are instances where it does affect them. And it's good that Gunner's coming out of this. He's a great player. I would love to see that guy playing in my infield, I can tell you. Brewers only team in the NL Central above 500. Christian Yelich out for the year. Listen, he's not the ball player that he was 4 or 5 years ago, but he's a leader in that clubhouse. And even though there are certain people that have followed his show, don't pop in much anymore, but do from time to time. And I think some of the regulars will know who I'm referring to. They think leadership is not a real thing. It's not necessary on sports teams. I will tell you that it is. You need guys who lead the way. And Christian Yelich is a leader on that team, and this will hurt them. Maybe not now, because they got a 9-game lead in a very mediocre division. Cards could still make a run. The Reds could still make a run. They're probably the most talented team, I think, in the division, the Reds. But again, making up even 4 games when you got to pass 6 teams is not easy. But I got a 9-game lead, and so they'll probably. I would think the Brewers are in the playoffs, right? It's happened. Hell, the Phillies in '64 blew a huge lead with like, I don't know what was it, a 9-game lead with 12 to play or something. The Mets 2007 lose a big lead. So it happens, but it's easier when there's only one team you're got to pass. Much harder when there's a bunch of teams to pass. And again, I think the Brewers will miss Yelich a little bit. Thank you for getting out in front of this, Arraez. Thanks for getting out in front of that, Drew. Leads qualified hitters in the NL with a 307 batting average. Jesus Christ. 5 hitters in the AL above that. I'm surprised there's not more than 5 in the AL. What are we going to change now, right? We didn't have high batting averages because of the shift. And instead of teaching guys to hit guys, I don't know. Here's a simple, always been a simple strategy since I was a little boy playing Little League. Standing here, hey, you see that open spot over there? Hit the ball where they aren't. Hit the ball the other way. Hit the ball where the people are not standing. This is a basic axiom of baseball. But no, we won't do that. We'll only allow the people to stand in certain areas, and that will help the hitters. Is it? But now, and again, I want more innings pitched by starting pitchers. I want them to care about going 9 innings. We're going to mandate that they go 6. Come on. Rob Manfred. AC, good to have you with us. No need to apologize. You're watching a couple big name politicians give speeches today, but let's get out the importance. Oh, God. But let's get on to important stuff. What's going on in baseball today? Well, we're discussing, we haven't got to Judge's 300th home run. How do people think he's going to hit 400 and, 60 more home runs? What's Bonds got? I don't even know. 763, 764. What's the number? He's not hitting. Judge will probably hit 550 home runs. That'd be good. Just because he was the fastest guy to 300 in games played, tons of guys got there sooner than him because they were younger. Judges didn't get his breakout season until he's 25 years old. Plus injuries. It's doubtful he gets to 600 home runs. He's not hitting 300 more. Maybe he will. I want to be wrong. I hope he does. History says he won't. Plus, we're talking about the 6-inning rule in Major League Baseball. Who's hot? Who's not? Sandberg, cancer-free. For those of you who aren't here, great news. Ryan Sandberg has been battling cancer for the last year-ish or so. And he got to the word that he's cancer-free, which we're all happy to hear. Drew ought to be happy to hear that Brian Buxton is hurt again. Big shocker there. The Twins playing good baseball. Now the injury bug will catch up with them. The Ohtani watch, 37 HRs, 35 stolen bases. If he pitches next year decently, it's possible his contract might actually be worth it. Again, if somebody's willing to pay you, you're worth the money in my mind always. Whether you actually earn that money is a different conversation. By the way, I said the White Sox are on a pace for 124 losses. Let's see, what does this work out to? So 37 divided by how many games have they played? 122? Where's the Dodgers? Where's the Dodgers? I want to do the math on this 50-50 chase. So he's got 40 games left. So they played divided by 122 times 162. Oh, gee, well, that's not right. Jesus Christ. How many's he got? 37 divided by 122 times 162. 49 home runs he's not a pace for. And I'm going to say, without doing the math, 47 stolen bases, 40. So he's on a pace close to 50-50. Soto. That's pretty impressive. Bobby Witt, too. I don't know where it came up. I think maybe it was this morning. I think I might have been. I was on the Mac and Jack show, I think, this morning. I wasn't really disparaging the Royals, but I was. We were talking about the teams most likely to make the wild cards. And I thought the Mariners or the Red Sox would surpass the Royals, that the Royals might fade. And, it was pointed out to me that they got one of the best players in baseball. Bobby Witt is definitely one of the best young players in baseball. I like watching him play. He's an exciting player, a good defensive player. He's got some speed, pop in his bat, plays the game the right way, fundamentally sound, which is not something I say about a lot of players today. Maybe too many strikeouts. But the Royals will be tough. AC, I'm right. I'm always right. About what? Even the way kids are taught to swing is different. Yeah, well, again, we should keep predicating, when scouts are evaluating players now, it's all radar guns for pitchers, basically, and it's launch angles and exit velocities for hitters. Who cares? Right? You were always taught to chop and put backspin on the ball to do the uppercut. By the way, Ted Williams always said a little bit of an uppercut was important. I don't have a problem with that. And again, chopping at the ball, if you're fast and you're playing on AstroTurf, that's certainly a good way to go. I was taught to have a level swing. And I was also taught to hit the ball where it was thrown, right? I'm not taking a pitch on the outside corner and trying to hit it into the left field seats, punching it in the right field, drive it up the right field alley. Launch angles and exit velocity. Please go away. Someday this will be gone. I do predict these metrics will disappear at some point. Because people will learn that they're bogus almost again. I know it'll get said. Some of them are important. To me, still, home runs are important. RBI still matter. Runs scored. So the runs you produce without driving in yourself, right? So take the runs scored and RBIs minus home runs. That's an important number. On-base percentage and slugging percentage, OPS, very important number. But don't give me all these, OPS adjusted for this and ERA and WHIP adjusted for. Stop. And that paralysis by analysis, that's what this game's become. That's why managers sit in the dugouts unsure what to do in given situations. I'm looking at you, Aaron Boone. He's an exciting player, but that number, and again, it's indicative of the game today, right? I guarantee the Reds aren't even blinking at that number. As exciting as he is with the home runs and the stolen bases, what's he hitting, Drew? 250? Hang on. Find out. 263 is up to. 346 on base percentage, not bad. 840 OPS. So you're going to live with that. And to me, the strikeouts, there are times, like anything else, you can live with strikeout. We talked about this last week. You can't just look at number of walks in a vacuum. You can't look at any of these stats just in a vacuum. Right? It's home runs. It's when you hit them. RBIs is when you drive them in. If you drive in a bunch of runs when you're up 10-0, who cares? Strikeouts. If you're up there striking out, with one out and the bases loaded, well, that's a horrible strikeout. But if you're up there striking out, when you're, down one, well, actually down one, you should be trying to get on base, I suppose. But if you're up one, nobody on base, 2 outs, you want to try to take a shot and you strike out, whatever. Again, you can't just look at any of these numbers in a vacuum, and that's what we do. That's why WAR is a ridiculous number to look at. There's too many factors that you can't factor in. You take a mathematical formula and try to make it sound important. Yes, I know that there are a lot of players that it matches up. Some of the highest WARs throughout history have been some of the best players in the game. Okay, that doesn't mean that the stat is accurate, especially when you get down. It's easy to see who the best players are. I don't need WAR to tell me that. And I guarantee a WAR throws you off when you start looking at some other guys. I mean, if I play on a horrible baseball team my entire career, what's my WAR going to be? And again, I'm simplifying, and that analogy may be totally wrong. I don't know because I don't care. First of all, weight should be the scorekeeper's discretion, and definitely should take more than 3 innings. And listen, here's the thing, AC. Leave it at 5. There's no reason to make it 3. I'm not saying they are going to do this, by the way. Leave it at 5. But again, let's get back to where starting pitchers get into the most important part of the game, and don't do it because Major League Baseball legislates it. Do it because it makes sense from a baseball strategy sense. Major League Baseball. I'm not laughing at you, AC. Believe me, I'm laughing at Major League Baseball, which I do constantly. Wow. Reds take on the Jays this week. Votto hasn't rolled his ankle in a week. The Jays call him up regardless for a fanfare send-off. Why not at this point, Chris? Well, I mean, what else are they going to be playing for in September? You might as well bring them up. You know what? But if I'm Joey Votto, I mean, do I want that? I didn't play in Toronto. I don't know. Guys like Joey Votto they should go. And listen, I understand. It's not easy for these guys to walk away. I want to remember Joey Votto as he was a great player. I don't want to remember him. I mean, I still think it's sad watching Willie Mays play in this 1973 World Series. It was very sad. I don't think it diminished his career necessarily. But there's young guys who don't, we talk about this all the time, they don't look very deep. And they think, well, I saw Willie Mays play. I was 8 years old. I saw him play in 1973. He was terrible. 72, he was terrible. 71, he was an average player. Because they stick around too long. Derek Jeter stuck around too long. Mickey Mantle, we know, stuck around too long. It's tough. It's really tough. I got a lot more comments here than I thought. Sorry, I've been lingering, guys. I apologize. For some reason, I thought I was caught up on comments. The talk now is 4 innings pitch would get you a win. Yeah, let's just change all the record books, right? Why don't we call 4 innings a complete game, too, while we're at it? Why not? Why don't we just shorten the games to 7 innings like we did during COVID? Oh, remember when Madison Bumgarner couldn't get credit for a no-hitter because it was only a 7-inning game that Major League Baseball mandated had to be 7 innings because it was a doubleheader? Again, keep messing with the record books. Record books should be sacred, man. Baseball used to be. The numbers were real. The numbers were something, yeah, you could stick around a long time and be an accumulator, maybe not one of the best players in the world, but there were numbers that were sacred, right? 715. Now, Henry Aaron broke it legitimately. 60. Roger Maris broke it, in my mind, legitimately. Not in a lot of people's minds, but whatever. Now these records are all going to be, you get 4-inning wins. Maybe you'll have 300-game winners again. If you wanted 300-game winners, then you shouldn't have changed the way you play the game. You shouldn't have changed the way that you prepare young players to be major league pitchers. How about that? We shouldn't have to have conversations like we had last week that Tanner Houck is just, overextended at 134 innings. 7 qualified pitchers under 3 ERA. Scoble, Sale. Chris Sale continues to be remarkable. Burns, tremendous addition to that Oriole team. Wheeler, Green, Hunter Green. has really harnessed his potential with the Reds. And he's going to be a big part of this team making a stretch run here and in the future. Great player. Blanco and Gilbert. Gilbert, part of that great Seattle team. Danny, 16th, 20th. Games in Baltimore, 17, 18th. Have tickets for you versus the Giants. Let me see what I can work out. Let me see what I can work out, Danny. I don't know. Don't know what I can do. I appreciate the offer, by the way, tremendously, but I got to. How come I can't? Oh, there we go. It's a Monday and a Tuesday. I don't know. We'll see. I got to see. Granddaughter's birthday that weekend. Work is just. I got a feeling I'm going to have company in town work-wise that week. That's what I'm really concerned about, which means I can't get those days out. But we'll talk about it, Danny. I would love to come out and see you, buddy. So I appreciate the offer. Keep me. Don't let me lose sight of this. You can hit me over the head with it every show. Easy on Gunner and Pinstripes. Stole my fave picture of Mussina. Gunner stays in Camden. Yeah, I mean, possibly. As long as they pay him, he'll stay. It's not a hard equation, right, JB? I'd still look. He'd look great in Pinstripes. Class A. And Hensley leading saves. That's amazing right there. Helsley, Jesus. Leading saves with 37. Many teams using committees, just like running backs in the NFL. That's because you can't trust most of these guys. Again, along with because they haven't bashed the Yankees yet. After 47 minutes of the show, Clay Holmes is likely to be one of their big downfalls in October. Inability to score runs without hitting home runs, and Clay Holmes unable to can't keep any of the leads they do get. Did he get a hit off Nolan Ryan? Who are we talking about? Where are we? He blocked for Adrian Peterson. I think we were talking. Oh, the guy. I know. Now I know where you are. Yes, he did get it off Nolan Ryan. I'm pretty sure Nolan Ryan was standing on the mound and there was a tee with a ball on it in front of him. Yes. Heel gives up a walk every other inning, 60, 122, but has given up 80 hits. When Heel was so hot, he stopped walking guys. So for this number to still be that bad, it's 4 walks a game, right? 4.5 walks a game. A lot of great pitchers have done that. I don't like it. Catfish Hunter gave up tons of home runs, but the great majority of them were solo home runs. That's why he was a great pitcher, along with some other guy. But Heel, early in the year, really had trouble harnessing that control. Then when he harnessed it, he went crazy. That's when he was like the sensation for, 6 weeks. Then he lost his control again. Now you don't know what you're going to get any night he goes out there. Scott Kobe's with us. Does Soto have any chance of wrestling the MVP away from Aaron Judge? Nah, not unless Judge gets hurt. Unless Judge gets hurt, and if Soto has 3 home run games every once a week, Scott, maybe. I don't think so. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but here's the other thing. I guess we have to take into consideration. And if the Yankees go back to, I want to see something here real quick. God, hold on. Hold the horses here. Yankees off last night, by the way. I'm trying to see something. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, so they flip-flop Judge and Soto in the lineup. I'm sorry, they haven't. If they flip-flop Judge and Soto in the lineup, and Judge gets walked, and Soto all of a sudden goes crazy, then Soto could overtake him. And if Judge gets walked and not pitched to, I don't know why teams would pitch to him. I know Austin Wells is playing well. I'm pitching to Wells all day long. All day long. But to me, I just don't think there's any way that they're going to I don't think there's any way Judge can not win this if he stays healthy. Let's see what the result were. 43, 110. And it's not like Soto's having a bad year, by the way, because he's at 34, 187. 1052 OPS and 1174. That's where OPS is. That's pretty damn good. Now, it's interesting. We talked about strikeouts. Judge has almost 50 more strikeouts. They got the same number of walks. They're both great players. He's a big guy. I would imagine he's going to break down in his mid-30s. He broke down in his mid-20s. I love Judge. That's a problem, especially a man his size. He's going to have a hard time playing until he's 44 years old. He's not going to do that. His contract ends, I think, when he's 39. So if I say he's going to, even if he had 60 home runs for the next 5 years, that's only 300 more home runs. That's 600. He's not doing that, by the way. If he hit 50 for the next 5, average 50 for the next 5, he gets to 550. That's still, I think, asking a lot. I mean, and here's the thing. Judge will come back next year, hit 35 home runs with 120 RBIs, and we're going to think, wow, what's wrong with that guy? Look at how Albert Pujols slowed down. Great point. Great point. And he's a big guy. 762. Thank you, Danny. I'd seen that number earlier today, and I just couldn't get it right in my head. Ohtani won't get 50 HRs. You think just because he won't get them, or they won't pitch to him and let him get it? Right now, as I said, he's on a pace, what I say, 49? Asked me in April if Judge could hit 60, and you said he didn't think so. Have you changed your mind? Again, not really, Scott. You know why? Because I don't think they're going to pitch to him enough. With him batting third, I know Austin Wells has been on a really, really good streak, but why would you pitch to him? Why? What's he got? 43 divided by 122 times 162. He's on a pace for 57 right now. Doesn't mean he can't pick that pace up and get to 60. I know he had a ton August, September 2 years ago. I still think he won't get there just because he's not going to get pitched to enough. Cease and Skubal leading strikeouts, 181 and 180. Those aren't horrible numbers for the amount of innings guys pitch these days, right? Not bad. Wow, Scott, right off the top of my head, Willie Mays is at the top. Willie Mays is number one player of all time. I'll probably cause a lot of grief, but Barry Bonds is in the top 5. I'm going to give you 5 guys in no particular order. Willie Mays is at the top. I'm going to give you Bonds. I'm going to give you Aaron. You didn't ask whether pitchers or I guess we're talking about hitters, right? The Babe and Ted Williams. Remember all the time Ted Williams lost in the service, by the way. 2 wars. I know Scott knows this. It's a great question, and it's hard. It's very arbitrary, right? That's in no particular order. I'll put Mays at the top. You put the other guys in any order you want. Give me yours, Scotty. And anybody else can give me theirs. We might go a little bit long today. I know we got a lot of comments left here. I love it when you guys are so engaged. Padres still lead with batting average of 265, which has been going up. One of the reasons they're on the tear that they're on. This is the best the Padres have played in some time. Seattle 216. Now it's amazing. If Seattle hits at all, the rest of the way they're going to get the wild card. Their pitching is really good. This is an indicative show you how good their pitching is. That they're still in this race, only 3 games behind the Astros, with that type of anemic offensive production. Leads him. I'm assuming you mean batting, Drew. Well, that would make sense too, I guess, based on the other numbers you put up there. Blue Jays and Craps. PH weight Cubs. What? Blue Jays and Craps. Tied PH weight Cubs. Oh, wait. Gets us the game they're playing. Oh, Danny's got like talking Morse code or something to me over here. 4-2. I think he was telling me they were tied and then pinch home run or something, and Cubs are back up 4-2. Baseball's a game of variables. Every stadium is different variable just to begin with. I agree. I mean, again, there's a lot of things. That's one of the great parts about baseball, right? The field dimensions of every field are different. Football, it's 100 yards. Basketball, it's the same distance. It's 10 foot to the rim. Well, I mean, the bases are the same. I shouldn't say that. But the playing field itself can be 100 different types of dimensions. And, even the baselines now are variable AC, because when Major League Baseball says they shouldn't be 90 feet anymore because we're going to make the bases bigger, just another way that we artificially inflate another stat. I'm not getting excited about all these stolen bases from Ohtani and De La Cruz necessarily like other people, because I know the number's artificial because the game's played totally different than when great base stealers like Maury Wills and Lou Brock and Ricky Henderson were stealing bases, amongst others. Jesus. The baselines were 90 feet, all of them. Not 89 feet and a half or whatever it is. If you think it doesn't matter, and that's probably not true, it's probably 2 inches or 3 inches, whatever. So whatever, 89.912. I'm not a math major. All I know is they're shorter. And plus, I can only throw over to first base a couple of times. I can't just do whatever I got to do to hold you close. Because we know it's not exciting baseball to watch a cat and mouse game between the best base stealer in the league and the guy with the best pickoff move or the best catcher, right? That's not exciting. It was never exciting to watch Tom Seaver have a great base stealer at first base and try to keep him close, or Johnny Bench trying to throw those guys out. That's not exciting. On the other hand, Mariners lead in ERA 3 point. I've said all year that I love the Mariners pitching staff. Brewers sit second, 26 points behind. That's a significant amount, too, Drew. Only 2 teams below 120 in WHIP. Sorry. Only 2 teams WHIP. Seattle 109, Minnesota 1.17. How can the batting stats and the pitching stats be terrible? I don't agree that Rob Manfred is doing a less than stellar job. I give him a 0 out of 10. If I could go below 0, I would go below 0. He's horrible. I mean, I know that's facetious. I hope, Scott, because if I said anything that makes it look like I agree with Rob Manfred, I do not. horrible. This Jays Cubs game was like a chess game with homers. Who could have homered the other? I would say a game decided by homers is more like checkers than chess, but it's fun. Class A is the AL Cy Young Award winner. It shouldn't be close. Drew doesn't like to give those awards to relief pitchers. I'd love to hear his feedback, which he may have here in a little bit. But I haven't looked that deep. You know, I'll be quite honest with you, Scott. Because of the way starting pitchers have been de-emphasized so much, I have a hard time caring about the Cy Young Award anymore. Didn't Jacob deGrom win it as a starting pitcher with less than 10 wins? Doesn't mean anything to me anymore. How do I compare starting pitchers and relief pitchers? It used to be fairly easy in my mind. I mean, a relief pitcher's got a good a chance to win games as a starting pitcher. He's a great pitcher. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to say his name because I'll say it wrong, and then I'll keep you posted on a possible Baltimore trip. Watching Little League World Series, actually better baseball than half of Major League Baseball. Good point. We should be leading up. That's probably... There's Carlos, the Mad New Yorker. He's like Beetlejuice, Rick. Thank you for that birthday wishes, Carlos. I appreciate it. Had a nice birthday yesterday. As I said, Mother Nature gave me a hailstorm that dimpled my car, so it looks like a golf ball now, a giant golf ball, or that I've been driving it on the driving range, getting hit by golf balls. Fancy this week. Rick's kicking my ass. Excuse my French. I don't think ass is actually French. Rick is beating up on Keith for now, 15-6. After I slithered by me. He did slither by me. Snake. Rick is on a 3-week winning streak. Keith is. Thank you. Not for lack of frickin' trying, man. Naming the top 5 all time is impossible. Yeah, it's possible. Everybody's got their own subjective viewpoints, AC. So it is very difficult. It's hard to compare eras. I'm going to tell you, I only saw Willie Mays at the end of his career, and then through exhaustive following of his career, reading on his career, watching highlights of his career. Same with all these guys in the same era. There's no more important baseball player than Babe Ruth. Saved baseball in the 20s. There wouldn't be baseball today without Babe Ruth. And all these guys making millions of dollars, I've said for years, should kneel down and say a little prayer to Babe Ruth every night. But for my money, pound for pound, the best player I ever saw play, even as he was getting older, was Willie Mays. 5-tool guy. He could do it all. Couldn't pitch, though. Babe could pitch. And you have two separate pitchers and hitters. You have to separate pitchers and hitters, and I sometimes like to mess around with a category of best defenders and base stealers. I agree. There are guys who couldn't hit their way out of a paper bag when the game really was played differently. We don't worry about defense as much anymore either, by the way, as we've pulled away from defense as really mattering. We want guys who can just put up numbers, as we've had a video game mentality for a long time. Defense used to matter. Drew, Honus Wagner, Ty Cobb, Hornsby. Nah, they weren't. I don't agree. That's okay. I mean, it's fair. None of them hit with the power that Bonds hit with even before steroids. Again, they were all good in all parts in their parts of the game. They had higher batting averages. I would say Bonds' power numbers and RBI numbers are better than all these guys. And I would say, without looking, and I'm just guessing right now, so you've got an advantage on me, Drew, if you've got the record book in front of you. I don't have my baseball reference open. There's no way Bonds isn't in the top 5. Again, you'll never convince me. You can throw anything at me you want. Throw WAR. Actually, let's use WAR. Let's use your stat, Drew. Where do these guys rank in WAR? I just want to do an exercise. I don't believe in this at all. I want to do this exercise now, though, just because I really feel the need to do it. Because I'll bet you anything that, and I hate this stat. We all know I do. Well, maybe I'm wrong. Barry Bonds is 4th. I'm going to use your own stat against you, Drew. Your own stat says Barry Bonds, Willie Mays, and Babe Ruth, and then Cy Young and Walter Johnson, all above Cobb. Honus Wagner comes in at 10th. Roger Horsby 12th. By a lot. Barry Bonds has got 14, 12, 11. And again, I don't know whose formula it is because we all know everybody uses a different WAR formula. So there. Just my opinion. I'm not using this. I don't care about the WAR. I really don't. But I know Drew believes in the stat. Again, I think. If I'm wrong, you can point that out to me. No particular order. Mays, Aaron, Ruth, Rose, Bonds, Yaz. I can't put Yaz. Yaz is a great player. Great player, but more of a compiler than some of these other guys. I shouldn't say that. I mean, these guys played forever, all these guys. Rice probably played less. Rice isn't going to make the top 20, though, Scott. I know there's going to be some bias there for you. Yaz is a great player, but I'm not putting anywhere as close to the top 5. Rose, I don't know either. All-time hit leader, yes, but, you know, I don't want to go back to the WAR stat again. I mean, again, I will say this. Actually, I'll use it the other way. Because if you go by, see if I can do something here. I don't know if I can control F. I can. Because if you go by, Pete Rose is 67th all time if you go by WAR. That's why WAR is a ridiculous stat in my mind. Pete Rose is a very valuable player on most of the teams he played for until late in his career. But this says he's the 67th best player in the history of baseball. I think that's ridiculous. Right? I love Rod Carew. He's better player than Rose. Who else is up there? Fergie Jenkins. I love Fergie. Great pitcher. Better than Rose. Oh my God. Mike Trout. Can't even stay in a game. Gaylord Perry, one of the great accumulators of all time. Wade Boggs, better than Rose. Al Kaline, who I love, better than Rose. Danny, Ruth, Mays, Bonds, Williams, and Garrick. I can't argue with that group either. By the way, all the guys we mentioned are great players. And again, it goes to AC's point. This is like an impossible task, right? We could argue for 2 hours. We could argue for 2 years. And there's, 10 guys, 12 guys, 15 guys that I think you could probably talk about as being top 5 of all time. I can't talk about Jim Rice there, though. Sorry, Scott. I might even have a hard time getting Yaz in that 15. I love Yaz, too, by the way. And they did it clean. That wasn't the question, by the way. And how clean were they? Do we really know? I mean, do we? We don't know, by the way. And by the way, when they were accumulating their stats, there was no specialists. Let's keep in mind, there was no night games. There was far less travel. You didn't have to travel west of the Mississippi. Let's not forget. Okay. Ballparks were smaller. Pitchers would just pitch. There were no relief specialists. So you'd see a pitcher 4 or 5 times a game sometimes. So again, yes, Bonds and others use performance-enhancing drugs, and I'm in no way, shape, or form saying that's okay. Bonds was a Hall of Famer and one of the best players of all time before he used steroids. That's really the sad part about it. But the fact remains that all these guys before the 50s, the late 50s, never had to travel west of the Mississippi. They stayed in the Eastern or Central time zone the whole time. They didn't have it. Yes, they traveled by train. There's just too many variables, right? I can throw things in that where they had advantages as well. Can't just, again, you can't look at it in a vacuum and say, oh, Barry Bonds is steroids. Can't be considered. He can be considered. I can consider him, and I can say he was wrong for using steroids. Both things can be true. There's no denying Barry Bonds was a Hall of Famer and at least a top 10 player before steroids. I would like Scooble. If I had to pick a winner, and again, it's hard for me to do today. It's hard for me even to get excited about the Cy Young anymore because starters' stats don't matter. No, I don't want to change the win criteria at all because I'm not comparing apples and apples anymore. It's so hard now. We're having a conversation now trying to figure out who the best player in baseball was. How are you going to do it once you start changing the win criteria or I don't know what's going to be next. Will really count. Well, there was a time, by the way, and I don't know whether I can't remember when it was changed. It might have affected Ty Cobb. I'm not sure. At least Ty Cobb in part of his career. Maybe Ruth in part of his career. There was a time based on balls counted as hits. Again, it's hard to. It's take nothing away. I'm not going to totally dismiss Barry Bonds, though, because of steroids. Just not going to do it. Not when there's all these other variables, to use AC's terminology, that the old-time guys had as an advantage back in their day. So, again, it's hard to... I just answered a question that's put in front of me. That's all. I put Aaron in my top 5. He had 4,000 more bats than Ruth. Good point. Or you can't put Aaron in there. I get it. I get it. Take out the steroid years. Well, I had Ruth in there. It's not like I took Aaron out and put Ruth in. And somebody might have had back here in the comments. I'm not sure. But I had Aaron, Ruth. Ruth was in there. So I got them both in there. Take out the steroid years, which most of them is, and Bonds drops way further down. That's not most of them, Drew. He started using. Hold on, I can tell you when he started using. It's very. I don't have medical evidence, but he started using basically in the year 2000. So that's not most of his career, right? That's the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's the last 8 years of his career. That's a significant amount of time. I agree. But you want to look at some great years before he started using steroids? 34, 103. 46, 123. No steroids. 37 and 81. 33 and 144. 42, 129. 40, 101. 37, 122. 34. These are all numbers before steroids, by the way. Now, I agree. The numbers jump greatly. 73, 49, 46, 45, 45. But please, use the MVP 1, 2, 1, 2, 3 times before you 5 times. No, sorry. I'll count that. 2000, I'm not sure about. I know he wasn't using before 2000 because it was Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire that really convinced Barry Bonds he had to do this. It's documented anywhere you want to look. So he won 1, 2, 3 MVPs before steroids, finished second once, finished fourth another time, finished fifth two more times, finished eighth another time. I'm sorry, there's another second. God, I get put in a position of backing up steroid users. He's one of the best players of all time before steroids. There's no doubt about it. Because if he played without steroids, there's no reason to think, again, I guess he wouldn't be producing. And by the way, I know the guys you're saying didn't play with steroids, but as I said, there are also factors involved that skew their numbers. They'd all be great players today. But if they had to face specialized pitching and guys who just went out there and threw 100 miles an hour for as long as they could, and then they took them out. If they had to travel coast to coast. Yeah, I know it's better travel. They're air travel and not trains. There's a lot to take into place. I would say Rose is top 10. But if I go by WAR, he's top 67, 73. What was it? Boggs is no Pete Rose, 100%. Agree. WAR supposedly includes fielding, too, which would account for some of the rankings. And it says that buffed up Bonds is ahead of Mays. Where's that? And if you look at the baseball reference, oops, hold on. But look, oh, you're right. One spot ahead of Mays. You're right. Sorry. Believe me, I'm not using that. I'm only using that stat to give you an argument. By the way, I just also gave you a argument why Pete Rose shows you why WAR is so ridiculous. Some of those guys ranked ahead of Pete Rose. Are you freaking kidding me? Clayton Kershaw? Justin Verlander, Jenkins. I'm just giving some modern guys. My God. Perry, Kaline. Burt Blyleven. I love Burt Blyleven. Great pitcher. Won't come on my one-on-one show. I might have to have his ex-wife on instead. I'm just kidding. She's a wonderful, nice lady, by the way. Phil Niekro. These are great players. They're not better than Rose. Supposedly. And by the way, let's keep this supposedly highlighted, maybe in quotation marks from now on, because WAR is like the stupidest argument. I don't even know how I get myself involved in these things, because it's a made-up stat. And whatever source you go to, Baseball Reference uses their own, ESPN uses their own, MLB.com uses their own. Griffey, 56 home runs, 147 RBIs, and he did it all on orange juice and Caesar salads. Possible. He was never implicated in the steroid conversations, at least not as deeply as some of these other guys. And the problem I have with the steroid thing is I don't know who was doing them and who wasn't, right? That's why you can't keep these guys out of the Hall of Fame. Until you show me a list, a complete documented list of who was using and who wasn't, I'm putting them in. I'm putting them all in. And I'll say what they did. Bonds was entertaining, for sure. Bonds was a great player. Why him using steroids was stupid on his part. He did it because he was jealous of what was going on with Sosa and McGuire. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. See you, Chris. Good to have a good. We're gonna wrap it up here in a second. I'm gonna go through the matchups this weekend, and we'll get out of here. Happy birthday, Xavier Hernandez, former Astro. I don't know where else he played, but I know he played with the Astros. Let's see what we got here. How come I'm on Friday? MLB schedule this weekend. We already got, as we said, the Cubbies are beating the Toronto right now, I think 4-2. I haven't looked at score in a little bit. We got Seattle going to Pittsburgh. This is the first game matchups, obviously. Seattle at Pittsburgh ought to be interesting with Pittsburgh on a 10-game losing streak. Castillo and Falter. Yankees will go to Detroit for the weekend. Rondon against Montero. We got Bassett and Steele started that game for the Blue Jays and Cubs. The D-backs are going to be in Arizona. In Tampa Bay, excuse me. Zach Gallen and Jeffrey Springs. Big series. Tampa Bay's window's closing. Miami at New York. Listen, the Mets had trouble with the Marlins 10 days or so ago, and they had trouble with the A's this week. Mets need to turn it around. Washington and Philadelphia. McGore against Sanchez. Phillies haven't been lighting it up lately. Royals against the Reds. That should be an interesting series. Waka and Lodolo lead it off. Red Sox will be at Baltimore in an interesting series. Bello and Suarez in the opener. The Twins at the Rangers. The Rangers, by the way, I don't know where Allen is. Drew, have a good weekend, buddy. Don't take offense. I know you don't. I love these arguments. They're my life's blood. I love these arguments. It's what the sport's all about. Arguing, debating, part as friends, unlike the two people AC was watching earlier. Where did I leave off? Baltimore and Boston, big series. Bello against Suarez. Twins. Oh, Texas is done. That's what I started to say. Texas is done. They're 10.5 games out of first. Too far out of the wild card. Too many teams to pass. Fiesta and Evaldi. Giants against the A's and the one of the last of the base series here. Birdsong and Beto, maybe the last base series. White Sox will be at Houston to see if they can continue their trek towards the worst record ever. Flexen against Brown. The team formerly known as the Indians have got some new mojo going here. 1-5 in a row. They'll visit the Brewers. BB against Peralta. The Dodgers will be in St. Louis. Glasnow and Palante. Padres go to the Rockies. Cease against Freeland. And the Braves will play the Angels. Chris Sale against Griffin Canning. So that's what we got, guys. What do you got here, Drew? We're going to wrap it up here in a second. That's not Drew. Drew said goodbye. Steroids was big on my high school in 77. 77? Really? That's amazing. And we won't know all the players that used. You can't be blind not to think players in the 70s didn't use. I agree. Walmart. I had no idea, Rick. Keith Allison stated depression is Rangers and Cowboys. Understood. AC, good to have you with us, buddy. AC, you brought a lot to the show. I hope you show up. You're going to love the Sunday Stream of Consciousness. You got to make it in, though. So listen, guys, Keith Engle, thanks for tuning in today to the my music playing. The Sunday. Can you guys hear that? There it is. That one plays lower. Thanks for tuning in today for the MLB update. We'll be back Sunday with the Sunday Stream of Consciousness. Thank you to Larry Sorensen for joining me this morning on 101 with Keith Engle. Next week on that show, by the way, we'll have former Arkansas Razorback and Milwaukee Brewer great Mark Buck, great Sidney Moncrief, and we'll also in 2 weeks have Ernie D. Gregorio. So we'll have some fun there. Living in football thing, greed. Thank you, Danny. Good to have you with us as always, guys. Have a great day. See you later. Keith Engle. This Sunday morning.
You're listening to Keith Engle, the host of TGI Sports Talk on the National Streaming Sports Roku channel.